Portland was segregated, not in ways that anyone talked about or even admitted, but it was still unusual for him to see another black person on the streets of Southwest Portland. In a lot of his classes at Wilson, there were white kids, Hispanic kids, Asian kids, and then there was Nick. But in the Army, what mattered was being fast and strong and brave, and Nick was all those things. He was so lost in his daydream that for a moment, he didn't know what the sound was or even where he was exactly. And then he did. It sounded like someone had found Bobby, and it hadn't been him. Nick set out in a long-legged loop, running back down the trail towards the sound. Was it Ruby or Alexis? It didn't seem fair that he might have walked right past something important, something they had spotted and he hadn't. Maybe Nick had been the one to find Bobby, but he still might be able to help. Bobby was a big guy. He could be injured. He could be unable to walk, and he might need to put his arm over Nick's shoulder so that Nick could walk for both of them. Or maybe Nick would have to make a traverse, the way they had learned on training weekend. He could drag Bobby to a clearing where they would wait for a helicopter set down, the rotor wash whipping up the dirt that would sting their eyes. So right now he is thinking, I hope I am going to be a hero. Yay! What he doesn't realize is that actually he's going to find a dead body. Oh, no! In another minute, Nick would realize his fantasies were exactly that. Something awful lurking. No, Alexis thought, no, please, I'm not seeing this. But she was. It was a back, a human back, clad in a black jacket. The hump of a shoulder, a dip, the smaller hill of a hip. From this angle, she could not see the legs or the face. All she could see was the back, unmoving, half curled around a bush. Her blood chilled. It was him. Right there, the missing man. For a minute, Alexis couldn't even remember his name. Everything inside her was blank, holding its breath, as if as long as she didn't remember, time wouldn't heave itself forward. Because if he was there, right there, and not moving, then Alexis would have to do something, and she was all alone. She looked around to make sure this was true. No one on the trail before or behind her. The only sounds were the wind sighing through the trees and the birds calling. She forced herself to open her mouth. It was so dry her lips made a smacking sound as they parted. And as they did, his name came to her. Bobby? The sound was lighter than a whisper. Alexis forced a swallow past her lump in her throat, and she tried again. Bobby? A little louder, shaky. The back did not stir. Alexis tried again, putting some steel into it. Bobby? It was still not quite a shout, but it was loud enough. It had to have reached him. After all, he was only about 30 feet away. He didn't move. Her heart hammered in her chest, in her ears. Alexis fought off a wave of nausea as her stomach rose up and crammed into the back of her throat. Maybe he was unconscious. Maybe he had hit his head on a tree limb or broken his ankle and passed out from the pain. Maybe. Bobby's parents had said he had no medical problems, and it wasn't like there was anything out here that would kill him. Ooh, isn't that ironic? Because we do know there's something out there that's going to kill him. Let's put this, I'm going to make a little thing in red. Yes. Yes, irony. Just trees and small streams, trails and undergrowth. But he was a big guy. Maybe he had a heart attack. Maybe it was even possible that he had gotten tired from his big adventure and lain down for a nap. Alexis was going to have to go up to him, lean over, see what was wrong. The feeling that gripped her now was the same one she had as a little kid, the one that told her something awful was lurking underneath the bed, just waiting. Shouldn't he have moved at the shriek of the whistle? But he lay still. Nick would know what to do. He was always talking about how his dad had been in the Army. On one of his training weekends, he had been the first to figure out how to use a branch as a splint. And Ruby's parents were doctors. But Alexis couldn't just stand here until Nick and Ruby showed up. She forced her feet to start moving towards that curved away back. Shouldn't she be able to see the ribs expanding with each breath? If he wasn't breathing, didn't that mean he was? Her stomach bottomed out. Her steps were so small she nearly was walking in place. And that jacket, why was it black? Not navy blue as Bobby's mother had said. Although according to their instructors, civilians frequently got important details wrong. Clothing colors, shoe size, medical conditions, all things that were vital to search and rescue personnel, and all of them likely to be muddled, confused by the very people who were so anxious that you find their missing loved ones. Alexis was now only 15 feet away. She couldn't bring herself to call out Bobby's name again. As if he were a sleeper, she was trying not to wake. The thing was, as she got closer, she could see the top of the head and the hair on that head. It wasn't brown and short. It was blonde and longer, at least shoulder length. And that dip in the waist. Why would Bobby have a dip in the waist? Not at more than 200 pounds on a 5'8" frame. He should be built like a fire plug. Portland SAR may be looking for Bobby, Alexis realized, her stomach doing another tidal wave. But what she had found wasn't Bobby at all. Dun, dun, dun!